Now we're just entered the door to the ATCO trailer. As I said earlier in another video, this trailer is a fairly typical oil and gas or construction work trailer. It's a skid-mounted trailer and is a 10-foot by 24 feet. The one side of the trailer I've just configured into the main work area, just houses all of my equipment and excess cable and tools that are required. The trailer is heated with electric heat, baseboard heating, though most of the time the shack is kept quite cool, if not cold, in this section. And in fact, to that end, minimize the amount of heat required, the end of the trailer, the last only about, I think it's 9 feet or 7 feet, I've walled off. And this wall is insulated with a insulated steel outdoor door, so that in the radio room where the racks are, the baseboard heater is a smaller space to heat, and there's also the air conditioner in there, so less of a space to cool in the radio room. All my equipment, my climbing harnesses, though I don't use them much, and since I use the man lift, and some more racks. There is room for expansion someday, the possibility of including a radio table in this room and interconnected into the other radio room, but at this point the station is primarily designed for 100% remote operation. Going to the radio room. So the radio equipment is housed in a fairly typical domestic rack that you'd get at a home building center, a steel rack with wooden shelves. And that is what houses all of the equipment. And it's located in the center of the room so that I can fully walk around the unit and access all of the front and the back of all of the radio equipment and the power equipment. And at the end, I built a shelf which includes the 2 computer monitors, which are accessed fully via my remote at home by way of TeamViewer, and each monitor is handy because I can move different items onto each one. These are my surveillance cam videos, and this is the main control with my logger. I will do both, log remotely as well as log here at the remote, and all of the data is stored locally. The racks are configured. The bottom rack has my CPU and a UPS supply in case of any power interruption. Then I have the ACOM 2000A amplifier on this rack. This is the radio rack, as it were. At the moment, the only one radio here is the K3S. Eventually, I may bring out the ASU, the FTDX 9000D, and install it out here as a backup to have a second station accessible. The radio itself is connected by way of the remote rig, our CC1258 Mark II box, and its mate is at the control station in Calgary, and that affects all control, cat control, and driver to the radio, including audio. A very important part of the station is the station master from Microham. I'll perhaps do another video on this, because what's vital about this is this device, as many may know, replaced the top 10 decoder, and it's a band decoder with, I believe there's 20 relays in it. And the importance of that is, with my antenna system here, the 80-meter Yagi alone has 8 relays, individual band segment relays in it. The 40-meter has 3 individual band segment relays, and on 160 meters I have a detune loop in order to detune the tower, as well as various relays to convert the 80-meter Yagi into an RX Yagi driven by vacuum relays. And those all need to be sequenced as well as relay switched. And the station master will do all of that. None of that has to be done remotely or by way of individual control. It's all controlled through the cat, knowing what frequency it's on, and everything is sequenced and switched appropriately. talk more about that in another video perhaps. This box is a distribution box for all of those relays. They come out of the main header box that comes out of the station master and are distributed in this box through a header and into various DB9 and Cat5 cables. Power master, power meter, and a Yaesu rotor. The Yaesu is the main rotor which turns all of with the Yagi stack. Further on this end, this is my modem. It's a Huawei modem. The internet here is wireless, LTE wireless. Fortunately, I'm very close to the tower and get relatively decent speed. I'm about 5 megabits per second download and 0.8 megabits per second upload, which by domestic home standards or residential standards is horrible, but by way of a wireless connection, it's not bad and is proving to be sufficient for the remote. This is one of the microham web switches, and this is a handy device since it has its own IP address, and because of that I can access it even if I can't access the station through TeamViewer and get into the computer. I can always access this via its own IP address, and with one of the relays I can toggle a relay which I have configured to do a reboot to the computer. In the event that the computer blue screened or had a problem, I could reboot. This web switch also has a built-in what's called a watchdog, which will ping an external address. I ping Google, and if it fails a ping 3 times in a row over a set period of time, it will immediately trigger a relay, and that relay will reboot the router. That's in the event something went wrong with the router. It would do an automatic reboot and regain contact with the station. Perhaps from here you can notice that there's a copper strip, a 2-inch copper strap, and that's consistent on all of the shelves. And that copper strap, you can probably see here at the back, is connected all the way down to the bottom. And that copper strap is connected to the main ground system, including and integrated into the radial system. So I have sufficient RF grounding as well as DC grounding. Speaking of which, this is the back side of the entry panel. It's a solid copper plate, and it's also fully integrated into the ground system as well as the radial system. On the other side, all of the control lines and the Cat5 lines are lightning protected, mostly with MOVs. All of the coax, the RG6s for the security cams, and RX receive antennas are protected with gas discharge tubes, and the main transmit antenna has a polyphasor gas discharge a lightning arrestor as well. That's my SDR-IQ, which is configured to report to the computer and then ultimately report to RBN, and spots my DX from the skimmer antenna. This is the back, and my objective is someday to improve this this cable organization, but it was a bit of a rush this year to configure things. But as messy as it is, it's easily accessible by walking into the back and configuring everything I need to configure. One last thing, very important device. This is my USB relay controller, and this device is a device out of Bulgaria, a company named Denkove, and I've really come to appreciate the benefit of this device. It's connected with USB to the computer, and what comes with it is software, which provides access to drive all 16 relays. You can drive the relays either instantaneously to toggle them on or off, or you could set a timer. For example, I do use a timer for the tower. I set the tower up or down, and I can set how many seconds it will drive it up or down, and that can determine the height of the tower. I can turn the amp on, I can turn the indoor lights on or off, reboot the 240 power. That's a charger for my man lift. Reboot the K3, I can turn the lights in the shack in and on or off, as well as lights outside on or off. I'll just quickly show you on the computer. This is don't know if you can see it. That's the, image of the application. Any one of those buttons can be controlled to turn just in this case, turn the lights on or off. And of course, since I log on via TeamViewer, that's fully accessible from the control station in Calgary. This device, this circuit board here, is the wind alarm. It's a device which is connected to one of the anemometers on the Delhi Tower and monitors the wind speed. It is programmable to be set to at a set wind speed, trigger, and otherwise drive those relays to bring the tower down in the event of a high gust of wind, to bring the tower down. So that's pretty much the essence of the station. I do have a security camera or a surveillance camera in here, which is set to monitor the station. So again, by way of TeamViewer logging in at any time, I can see the status, literally, of any of the equipment to determine if there's a fault or if anything needs a reboot. And by way of the relay, USB relay board, I can usually reboot just about anything at the station. So that's it for the inside of the VE6WZ remote.